All right, good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Trowman. Has anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Les Truman, General Counsel. We have one individual who would like to address the commission this morning. Ronka Adi, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself and proceed.
Okay. I can't see. Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Ronke, and I've never, ever, had any public speaking before. This is actually my first time. And I felt like I needed to let this out because it was so brutal in nature and it's being covered. So I don't think it's something I felt that really needed to be covered up after I had reported this to the government agency to where you report housing discrimination. This housing discrimination that I'm about to talk about, it's so brutal in nature that I just had to hold on to see if there will be some reprimand from the respondent. I reported it August 17th, 2021. And during that wait period, I finally got in contacted 2 years, I think about 2 years, almost 2 years later, which was this year, 2023. So during that time period, the housing discrimination kind of really got really bad to where I was denied access to the community for over a year. I didn't have a key to the premises because the fight eviction, it was in court. So the first court kind of like stayed the eviction pending a resolution. So all these things started occurring. No AC in my apartment for over a year, no fridge for over a year, heater, boiler was leaking, roof leaking. So the respondent dealt with me very well. But again, I held on because I believed in the government. I believed in the institution. So when I finally got in contact, with me, TWC, March 2023 of 20th, I was contacted by Marius J. Lewis. I was like ecstatic, thinking that finally respondent would have to pay for their actions. So I thought. So I updated my complaints, put everything in, and Marion Lewis turned out to be an investigator to hide my housing complaint. At the time, I did not know. So when I told him about all these things that was going on in my apartment, no key, no fridge, nothing in my apartment was working, leaking boiler that's been leaking. I was assaulted by respondent when I even reported the emergency issues that I had. I was assaulted by their manager to the point that the police came on scene and cited the apartment manager. All of this was known to Mr. Marius Lewis. But what did he do? He came to cover out my complaint. I heard him on my doorbell camera to where he was communicating with the respondent that I'll close it out. And she was like, oh, I thought when I signed that thing that was it. He said, yes, it is. I'll close it out. I've not had time for a couple of working days. So I'm being pulled in 17 different directions. And she was like, oh, thank God. I don't want to lose my job. Unbeknownst to me, that this had already occurred on the day of his investigation when he came on site to my apartment. When he now came, I noticed like all of a sudden the emergency situation that had gone unresponded for like over a year, they started bringing in another fridge, wasn't new. They brought in a fridge, fixed my AC that I went hell over during the summer. They fixed it. And then he went and collected a key that has been denied me for over a year. And he gave it to me. In my mind, at that time, I was thinking, which is what he told me that, oh, he didn't want me to be going through this while he's investigating. Little did I know it was a cover-up. So if I had not heard that, what was going on, that he had already even closed it out before he came. I already sent the video to Aaron. He had already closed the case out before he even came on site. So what he was doing was cover up. He was covering up my housing discrimination that has gone for more than 2 years, that I've waited patiently for, that I posted a cash bond of $12,480 in the first court of appeals to appeal my case, because I knew there was something terribly wrong with my housing discrimination, and pursuant to the Texas rule of Texas Property Code 301, Texas Fair Housing 171, this was brutal, and this was no longer just a mere housing discrimination. So I already knew that he was going to cover this case. And I think one of the things that kind of really now finally got my attention, even read the more, was he now began to twist words in his, he closed it out, like he said. I already knew from May 22 when he came. He already closed this case out, but he didn't even deem it necessary for my due process right to even receive this document. He has not sent it to my current email correspondent. I'll be corresponding with him. This was something he sent, I think, in July of this month, July 3rd. Send me an email saying that he's going to be sending it out shortly. I didn't get that. Till a couple of days into, thank God I still have access to my own email, which was like about a week or 2 weeks into it, and I saw it and I was surprised. And then in that no cause determination, I noticed that the date on the first page of his no cause determination was a draft date on this document. The draft date was June 26, where I think Snoddy, the Civil Rights Division director, sent me, because I made him know all this, my complaint. I sent to the Civil Rights Director, Snoddy, complaining about all of this. So they sent me the draft copy of the no determination that I had 3 days to rebuttal these findings. Then I noticed like that was the draft date that was on this document. And then the last page, there was another date on it, which is a no working business day. It was a Saturday, July 1st. That was on this document. Now I have 2 days on a document that is so sensitive that at least he had 30 days. So now I'm getting 2 dates. And then the signature of the Civil Rights Director is not on this document. The section where Snoddy Brian should sign, I'm seeing another person's name on top of that place where he should sign his name. So first of all,
I was just going to interrupt, just to let you know we have about 1 minute remaining. If you could wrap up within that time frame.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. So basically, what I'm saying is that I have a due process right to at least receive that document, and it has to be valid. There's 2 dates on the document that has a 30 days. It's not signed. There's another signature on Snoddy's signature is not there. And Marion J. Lewis did a forgery of signing a resident signature on my resident card of the resident to collect a key that I had no knowledge about. I might not be explaining all of this well the way I should. I know, because I've been stressed out. I've been terribly stressed out. I've reached out even to the representatives trying to bring this out, because Marion J. Lewis cannot forge my signature, cannot forge a signature on a document where my name should be. I already sent some of these things to Aaron, so you guys may want to take a look at it. I already reported that forgery to the police. I have it right here. I have the forgery. I reported that Marion Lewis signed his signature under my name as though he was a resident. He signed it where I should sign without my knowledge, without my consent, hide all of this, and pretended as though he was investigating this investigation that there was no investigation. my due process right was taken away by Myron Lewis, and he cannot get away with this. And I want the commissioner to please look into this case. And I could write all this out so that it will be very clear. I am stressed out, badly bruised, badly injured, and I need this thing to be heard. I already said I have a police report on Myron Lewis, forgery on forgery, and I'm going to make sure that he is held accountable for forgery of document, putting his signature without my knowledge, my consent, and hiding this.
And we appreciate the comments. We will also have our civil rights division reach out to collect information you'd like to submit as well. Thank you. Commissioners, that's what we have for this morning.
All right, thank you, Mr. Troutman. Good morning, Mr. Treadwell. No cases to reconsider under agenda item 3.
Good morning. That is correct. There are no cases under agenda item 3.
All right, good morning, Ms. Turner.
Good morning.
All right, on tax liability cases on agenda item 4, we have 1 tax case on docket 30.
Yes, that is correct. We have one case, TD-23-012-0523, Commissioner Demerson,
Agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation. All right, we have no fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
That's correct.
All right, under agenda item 6, we have no wage claim cases on docket 30 pulled for additional discussion.
There are no wage claim cases pulled for discussion on docket 30. You should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 30.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 30.
I second the chairman's motion, accept the cases on which I'm dissenting is reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 30.
I concur with Chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 30.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move to agenda item 7, consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 30. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 277-0416, Commissioner Demerson.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. I do not dispute the AT2 good cause finding concerning the AT1. Although the claimant alleged that she did not receive the hearing packet until after the date of the hearing, the record shows that the claimant called in 17 minutes late on the date of the scheduled hearing. Since the claimant failed to provide credible and persuasive evidence that she was prevented from participating in the AT hearing due to circumstances beyond her control, the claimant did not establish good cause. Concerning the merits, the claimant was aware of the employer's rule which prohibited the unauthorized taking of food. The claimant in her fact-finding statements admitted that she did not obtain the necessary permission from her general manager prior to taking the food. Since the record suggests that the claimant was aware of the employer's rule, but thereafter violated the rule by taking food without consent, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT2 hearing. The claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Misconduct. Void the chargeback ruling.
The decision should be modified. The claimant missed the AT2 hearing because she did not receive the hearing notice. While it is uncertain why the claimant missed the first AT hearing, we don't dispute the good cause issue related to her non-appearance at the AT1. However, the commission must consider the merits of the separation based on the evidence available at the time of the first AT hearing. The only evidence available at that time was the claimant's fact-finding statements, which established that she was discharged for taking food home from the restaurant with permission from her manager. The employer did not respond to the notice of claim and did not provide any information regarding the separation. Therefore, the employer did not show that the claimant's actions of taking food home with permission from the manager constituted misconduct. Modify the AT. Claimant had good cause for missing AT2. Claimant did not establish good cause for missing AT1. No misconduct, void chargeback.
Modify the AT. Claim established good cause for AT2 remand.
Short form dissent.
We do not have a consensus on the issue of the job separation. All both the employer and labor has found that the claimant did not have good or had good cause for missing the AT2 hearing. They both have agreed that the claimant did not have good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. However, we have a misconduct and no misconduct. And Mr. Chairman, you have recommended to remand. So we have no consensus on the job separation issue.
Sir, I can agree with you.
Chairman, we will remand the case.
And you have my short form dissent, right?
Thank you. I have your short form dissent, sir.
Thank you.
Case number 312-6630, Commissioner Demerson.
The AT decision is not supportable. The commission ruled on docket 42 of 2022 that the claimant's unemployment claim was valid and that ruling should stand. Concerning the timeliness of the protest issue, the employer has been consistent in its testimony and other statements during the appeal process that TWC failed to honor its request to update its mailing address of record and that it never received the usual and expected notices via email, that it had new items in its electronic correspondence inbox. Consequently, the company did not receive actual notice of the unemployment claim until October 15, 2021, at which point the company protested the claim via electronic correspondence within 5 days of actual notice. The employer's testimony on these points has been consistent and credible at all stages of the appeal process. Under these circumstances, I believe we should hold the employer's protest timely. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision. The employer filed a timely protest to the initial claim notice, resubmit the case on the merits of the work separation.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The employer elected to receive electronic correspondence and had been notified that they were solely responsible for monitoring correspondence sent to their electronic inbox. The employer's protest was late because they failed to open their correspondence in a timely manner. There is no good cause exception to the timeliness rule. Therefore, the employer's protest cannot be deemed timely. Affirm the AT, set aside prior AT decision, untimely employer protest. The determinations that the claimant had filed a valid claim and approving the claimant for benefits under section 207.044 of the Act remain in full force and effect.
Affirm the AT untimely protest.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Demerson.
Thank you.
Case number 3273038, Commissioner Demerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. I do not contest the good cause issue in this case. As to the job separation, the claimant was discharged after refusing to follow instructions from the employer. The employer stated that the claimant was seen acting unusually by sleeping on the job, erratically, driving a forklift, and being agitated and aggressive. In addition, one of the employer's witnesses stated that he personally observed behavior that was not typical of the claimant. The claimant was asked by the employer to take a drug test for the safety of himself and the employer. The claimant in the end refused the employer's request. Since the employer had a substance abuse policy, and since the employer's goal was to ensure safety, its request was reasonable, and the claimant's failure to follow the employer's instructions constituted work-connected misconduct. Should therefore modify the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for its non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners do not agree, I would also agree for a rehearing in this case, since the employer stated in its appeal to the commission that it would like to present firsthand testimony.
The AT decision is correct. Regarding the good cause issue, the claimant was prevented from participating in the hearing due to technical issues with his phone and has therefore established good cause for his failure to appear at the prior hearing. Regarding the job separation, the evidence established that the claimant was discharged due to his refusal to take a drug test. The employer's allegation that the claimant quit and was not supported by the evidence, as the claimant testified that he was told that he was discharged and that the employer refused to answer questions regarding whether the claimant could return to work. The employer had no policy requiring employees to submit to a drug test when requested. So the claimant did not violate any of the employer's policy by refusing to submit to a drug test. The claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT. Claimant had good cause for missing AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3399-233, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision should be modified. The claimant stopped working on June of 2022 after she was absent from work with notice due to illness. Despite the claimant's continued contact with the employer assumed the claimant had abandoned her job and stopped responding to the claimant's text messages. The claimant's doctor advised the claimant not to return to work until the end of July, and the employer did not ask the claimant to provide this medical documentation. Because the claimant stopped working in June because of her medically verified illness, there should be no disqualification under section 207.045 of the Act. Modify the AT, no voluntary leaving, no chargeback, MVI.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant received medical documentation that excused her from work until July 24th, 2022. Because the claimant failed to return to work after she had been medically released, did not submit the medical documentation to the employer, and did not request any accommodation related to her noted restrictions, the claimant voluntarily left her job without good cause connected with the work. Should reverse the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Reverse the AT, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino.
Case number 3405261, Commissioner Demerson.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant was terminated for making a comment about inflicting bodily harm and damaging company property. Although the claimant alleged that he made the comment in a playful fashion, the record shows that the claimant repeated the comment to multiple coworkers. By making statements which gave the employer the reasonable impression that the claimant would intentionally harm himself and company property, the claimant mismanaged his position of employment. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant made a facetious comment. The claimant provided no firsthand evidence of the words or tone used by the claimant, and the claimant's testimony regarding the context of the comment established that the claimant was not threatening to harm himself or damage company property. Therefore, the claimant's action did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Demerson.
Thank you.
Case number 3410501, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not correct. The claimant was discharged after an alleged no call, no show. However, the evidence showed that the claimant went to the employer's store on the day in question and confirmed his PTO request for that day had been submitted. The employer agreed that the PTO request was approved. The claimant also provided credible firsthand testimony that he called the attendant hotline to report his absence. Therefore, the claimant did not commit misconduct by being absent without notice, as the evidence clearly showed that he notified the employer of his absence. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response. However, my fellow commissioners do not agree with the claimant established that he reported his absence to the employer. This case should be reheard in order to allow the claimant to submit documentation to show that he reported his absence.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant exceeded the allowable attendance points under the employer's policy. Thus, he mismanaged his position of employment, and we should modify the AT decision. Misconduct, no chargeback, sever the adequate employer response.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3417935, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was given permission to report to work late in order to have her car repaired. After the claimant learned that it was not or it would not be feasible to return to work for the day, she informed the employer of this. Requesting off on short notice was ordinarily permitted over the course of the claimant's 22-year tenure with the employer. And any warnings the claimant received relating to the attendance were issued over a year prior to her separation. The claimant had no reason to believe her absence would lead to termination. Therefore, the claimant's absence did not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The tribunal decision should be affirmed. The claimant was discharged for excessive absenteeism. The employer's policy provides that exempt employees may take time away from work when the employee and their supervisor agree in advance. The claimant was absent from work on the day of the final incident, and the employer stated that the claimant had not secured the required approval to do so. Since the weight of the credible evidence establishes that the claimant violated the employer's policy, her action constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Affirm the AT, misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino. This concludes consideration of UI cases pulled for additional discussion on docket 30. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 30.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 30 as reflected on the UI short form dissent list.
And I second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting is reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 30.
I concur with chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 30.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. This brings us to the end of agenda items 3 through 7. We'll take a short recess. We're going to go straight to that. I don't think there's anything else. I think we have an executive session. So we're going to go straight to. All right, and we're back. I don't think there's anything on the agenda other than an executive director's report, Mr. Sermon.
Just to let the commissioners know that staff will be, and if I can find it real quick, staff will be not be pursuing a grant for a distressed area pilot project. We do believe that this is probably something that is done better at the local level than at the state level, and we'll be encouraging and supporting the boards and other local entities to seek that grant. I think we've got another grant, don't we, Les? Or do we not? No, okay. Just to let you all know that I know that I'd normally bring just the grants that we're going to be pursuing, but I thought this one you should be aware of because y'all may be contacted by local entities that seeking support, which you can forward to me to handle.
All right.
And that's really all that I have to say.
Commissioner Emerson.
Let's, in regards to the public comments we heard this morning, I'd like to kind of be briefed on that
Yes, sir.
situation. Okay.
Yes, sir. I took notes on it and we will.
Thank you.
All right, the time is now 10:30. The Texas Workforce Commission is going into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of executive director, internal auditor, executive staff, or other personnel pursuant to Texas Government Code 551074A1.
Hey, I'm gonna let y'all know, you're certainly welcome to stay. All the commissioners are gonna do is finish executive session, come back in, and then adjourn without any action. You're welcome to stay and see what happens. But just to give you a heads up in case you want to go off and do something else, you two guys unfortunately don't get to go, so.
All right, the executive session has now concluded. The time is 11:13. Is there any other order of business come before the commission?
Mr. Chairman, real quickly, Brandy Branham, one of my interns, and Alexandra Reagan, they're going to be, this is their last week here at the agency. And so they'll be leaving out. We'll have our Texas Interns Unite event on the 27th of July. And just appreciate the work that they've done and have enjoyed having them on board and on the team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second the motion.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. We're adjourned. Thank you.